Tongue is a poem by a Sierra Leonean writer, and author, and poet, Elizabeth L.A. Kamara. It is a 46-line poem that decries the forsaking of African culture and the adoption of foreign cultures and values by the younger generation. It goes on to explain the effects of this detachment from the old ways. It opens with "They speak in a new tongue," a lament about the loss of their language as they embrace a new one. The writer proceeds to lament, saying that they also dance new dances with minds battered into new modes and shapes, signifying a deviation from the people's original ways of doing things and the acceptance of new values and culture. The new generation has not only taken on a new language and new mindset, but they have also abandoned established traditions, dismissed old songs, and disregarded elders and dreams. This is a reflection of the effects of the interaction that the Africans have had with different people from Europe and Asia, starting with the coming of the colonial masters through the slave trade, independence, and the modern alliances that mark the relationship of Africans with people of other nations. The new ways introduced by the interactions with other nations extend from language to education, commerce, media, literature, law and administration, fashion, and some impact on religion. The younger generation of Africans has to maintain a balance between what was before the Western culture's influence and what the Western culture brought, termed the new way. New tongue, therefore, bemoans the things the new way has affected in terms of the African lifestyle in relation to culture, tradition, regard for elders, family relationships, and friendship. The African lifestyle was majorly communal, but the coming of the new way introduced an exaggerated sense of self which drove the new generation to believe each person could only pursue the things that benefit him. The interconnectedness of life as the Africans know it is being lost. This is captured in the poem as glorying in their new newness of a borrowed tongue and culture. Every man for himself, by himself, of himself. Stanza 4, lines 30 to 34. New tongue is not essentially about acquiring a new language. Rather, it is about a shift in culture. The acceptance and use of the language of other nations is eroding the African language and extends to other aspects of their lives. It is safe to say that this poem was written at a time marked by globalization, as the key elements underscore the effects of globalization on cultures. As cultures intermingle, some aspects get diluted while some are lost. The younger generation is born into the adjusted ways, which many unwittingly accept as the original way, and further adopt other practices to suit their evolving needs. The title of the poem, New Tongue, does not only signify a linguistic shift for the people described in the poem, it is a metaphor for a cultural shift that has marked the existence of the new generation. It suggests that the new generation has adopted a new language, way of thinking, and mannerism. New tongue also points to a new culture and tradition, something foreign to the people, but now being accepted as the people's way. Language and diction. The poem Newton is a lamentation of the things being lost due to the adoption of new ways. The choice of words emphasizes disregard for the old ways, the language of the people, their culture, their traditions, etc. Kamara's use of language and tone in the poem Newton is simple and modern, making it accessible to people of different generations. Despite being written in English, It has a deep cultural undertone as the central theme is a loss of cultural heritage. The choice of the words is deliberate and chosen to convey the message of the poem succinctly. The cry of the loss of language, culture, tradition, etc. is obvious, and the sadness this brings is felt in the tone. Overall, the language used in New Tongue is simple but formal. The diction is modern and accessible to users of English. Tone and mood. Kamara's tone is melancholic. The sadness is profound as the poem bemoans the loss of heritage of a people. It is a call to preserve the identity of a people, their culture, traditions, language, etc. Highlights what is happening and the effects on the people as a whole. The mood is one of reflective thinking, laced with deep sadness for the loss and the nostalgia as the speaker thinks of the old ways that are being lost. There is also some worry about the future as the new generation abandons their identity to take on foreign ones. Although a shift in culture is unavoidable as generations come and go and people from different cultures intermingle, the poem expresses sadness as some of the practices ignored and forgotten are intrinsic to the identities and values of the people. About the author, Elizabeth Kamara is an African educator, writer and poet who hails from Sierra Leone. She lectures at Anaphora Bay College, where she heads the English unit. Elizabeth Kamara has three poetry collections to her credit: To Cross, For a Daughter, Stolen Laughter, and Distilled. Newton is one of the poems in her book, To Cross, For Your Daughter. Elizabeth Kamara is the founder and coordinator of the Poetry Reading Club at Anaphora Bay College. She is a member of the African Literature Association, the World Poetry Movement, and the Sierra Leone Writers Guild. Her works are marked by tension between modernity and the past as she aims to call attention to cultural preservation.